ISD's Robin Hood payments were reduced by $10 million in actual funds, but still constitute 26% of the district's overall revenue. These dollars are taken from high property value districts and distributed to property poor districts. How would you address recapture in order to ensure that school districts are equitably funded while local recapture districts are paying a feasible amount? And we'll start with Mr. Griffin.
All right, so clearly, there's more work that has to be done with school finance, and I think we made a significant step with HB3, but there more has to be done to that. We can work to lower the M&O cost over the next 10 years to reduce that side of the property tax side of school districts. But in terms of recapture, it's like, we have to figure out a way as a legislature to continue to fund public schools and public education. So I think it's going to be paramount that when the legislature comes in session in 2021, that we continue to work toward finding better ways or different ways to address the whole school finance funding model. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Capriglio.
So recapture is one of those things that I have been working against and fighting to stop for our school district since I first got elected. I'll also tell you, since I first got elected, the number of school districts that paid into recapture was about 10%, and those that received was about 90%. So you can imagine how those votes used to go. Over time, as recapture has grown and has encompassed more and more school districts, we got to a point, which we did this session, where something had to be done, and we did do something. We lowered recapture for the first time ever, reducing the total amount of recapture payments from $3.6 billion to $2 billion, and that's benefited a whole host of school districts. In terms of how to do this and why this is happening, obviously as valuations increase, not unevenly across the state, some school districts will go up higher while some receive more. The solution is to go and obviously have the state go and provide some of that. And so I'll be holding interim committee hearings in my appropriations committee to discuss this very topic.
Mr. Gillick.
So, like I said at the very beginning, right, I think that we can use surplus dollars to help lower the M&O costs for the property side tax part of it. I think that we absolutely do need a lower recapture. I also think too that we can't just spend our way into prosperity, right? We can't just buy a better education. If you look around the country, you see, per pupil spending. California, New York, New Jersey. You're not going to see a direct correlation between dollars spent and then outcome achieved. Here in Texas from 2007 to 2017, we've increased per pupil spending 20%, and we still have 58% of our third graders unable to read. So it's really more of it's a bigger challenge than just recapturing, and how do we actually distribute dollars evenly, and how do we actually incentivize teachers to do to do their job that they want to do.
Ms. Edmondson.
Well, the problem is the formula for recapture was calculated many years ago, and the money that's taken in from school districts and given to the state, that money is not earmarked specifically for education. It goes into the general fund. And the solution is not easy. It's complicated. And so perhaps there needs to be a task force of pro-education legislators who will look at all the facts and recalibrate the formula that is used in such a way that will allow our lower income school districts to have quality schools, but does not disenfranchise existing school districts or take more money from property-rich school districts than is absolutely necessary to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitfield.
My neighbors have concerns about the effects of recapture in our communities. They also recognize we're blessed to live here in an area of Texas where we have good schools, we have good businesses, we have property values that are increasing. And they're mindful that there are equity challenges across the state. There are some of us who live in parts of the state, parts of even Tarrant County, where they don't have the blessings of going to the schools that our kids do. And so the real challenge here is that recapture reminds us that the burden of our taxes, property taxes especially, fall on residential property owners. And that's why you've heard earlier tonight that big businesses have to pay their fair share. That this equity appeal process that allows them to pay taxes on a building that they might have had for $10 million, and they say, well, it's actually worth $1 million, and then you've got to pay my attorney's fees, county, if you want to challenge me on this. It's just not a fair system. It's rigged against residential property owners. The legislature has to fix that, remove the burden, and then it'll be easier for us to address recapture if we're focused on recapturing commercial property tax.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Earl.
So the Texas Constitution does specify that we need to develop a system of efficient public education. I believe that efficient means that whether you're a child born in Crystal City or a child born in Plano, you have an equal chance of being the next genius that changes the world. And that's for selfish reasons, because I want the next genius that changes the world to be from Texas, y'all. So I think that recapture had a great intention, but I don't understand why it's the job of Grapevine-Colleyville to pay for lower income schools. Why isn't the state doing that? So the state could make up the difference between, so it's easy enough. You set a benchmark for each school district and say, each school district has this number of students, this is how much funding per student there is, here's how much money they should get. And if the school can provide that amount in property taxes, fine. And if they can provide extra, they get to keep that and improve their property. But if they cannot, then the state should be putting up those funds. It's that simple.